EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt is in the middle of an ethical crisis. For the last year, he's been flying around in first-class seats using taxpayer dollars. He's been installing private phone booths in his office using taxpayer dollars, and he's been meeting with the heads of industry that he is supposed to regulate at the EPA. Questions about Pruitt's ethics have reached new heights this week, with revelations that he stayed in a condo that was owned by a lobbyist friend for the first year that he was in Washington, D.C. He paid $50 a night for this condo, and only on the nights that he was there, which would equate to about $1,500 a month. For comparison, other units in this building go for about $5,000 a month, so he definitely got a really good deal on this condo. And if it's determined that this is a gift, that could be illegal, which would be a really big problem for Pruitt. And the more we learn about this condo, the more it seems like this is a really big ethical gray area for Pruitt. First of all, it's owned by a woman who is a healthcare lobbyist, and her husband is chairman of William & Jensen, a huge lobbying firm in DC that represents energy companies like Enbridge, which sometimes have business before the EPA. We also know that while Pruitt was staying at the condo, there were at least 3 GOP fundraisers held on the premises, which isn't illegal, but it does raise questions about who else might have been at those fundraisers. What lobbyists did Pruitt have contact with if he was there? And the New York Times reported that while Pruitt was staying in the condo, the EPA signed off on a pipeline project represented by the husband's lobbying firm. The EPA issued a letter saying that the condo was at market value and doesn't violate any ethics. But still, Pruitt's facing some calls to resign from both Democrats and Republicans.
Why is the president okay with this?
The president's now, we're reviewing the situation. When we have had a chance to have a deeper dive on it, we'll let you know the outcomes of that, but we're currently reviewing that here at the White House.
Meanwhile, Pruitt's still making headlines for his expensive travel habits. $120,000 for a trip to Italy, $18,000 for a trip to Morocco, and $4,000 for a one-day trip to Texas. And news recently broke that Pruitt gave raises to 2 longtime aides, despite the White House telling him not to.
Why did you go around the president and the White House to give pay raises to 2 staffers?
I did not. My staff did, and I found out about that yesterday and I changed it.
So somebody being fired for that?
That should not have been done.
As these ethical questions swirl around Pruitt, he continues to go about his work, rolling back environmental regulations like the Clean Power Plan, or rules that regulate how much mercury power plants can put into the air, meaning that the air you breathe is a little less safe, even as Pruitt flies on his first-class jets.